You know what I actually said? This is really weird. When I started the live stream, YouTube said live streaming is not available right now. It's like what? So I had to like pause because that was weird. Live streaming is not available right now. Well, I guess it worked. So that was kind of like temporary. So, but that was weird. It said live streaming not available. So, the interface, the YouTube interface for live stream is not it's not as refined as, let's say, the one from Periscope. So it's just some unpredictable things here. So that's good to know that we are live. Hey, yes, known off your business. Space Jew, Great Gold, Maverick Madison, Robert Bernard, Ludwig Wittgenstein, and Tyre Meyer, Brian Edwards. Hello, folks. Keith. Hello, Keith. How are you doing, Keith? Nemo777, Harpy, Vulcan, Craven, Columbi, Jolly H. Hello, guys. So our topic tonight we're going to talk about, the temptation. Temptation. Hello, TJ Morrow, Mad Cow. Temptation of, I saw a little bit. Fortunately, I had no interest in watching the whole thing. So I watched like a snippet of the Apple thing with, the iPhone. And I got so excited that I'm not going to buy one. So we're going to talk about that. But some of you got excited, I'm sure, and I don't know why, but you get excited about things like this. So we're going to make sure we curb your enthusiasm so you understand exactly what it is you're getting. Hello, Galvano, Maxwell Seafeld. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. And one of the things that's unique about the iPhone 12 is that it comes with 5G. Now, 5G ready does not mean 5G is actually available yet. Fortunately, it's not, but it's 5G ready. So we're not yet at the 5G stage with the millimeter wave, but it's coming. So not gonna lie, I miss my iOS. I'm not gonna lie, I don't miss any talking iOS. I have an iPhone 10, and it's like, yeah, am I gonna upgrade it to iPhone 12? No. Do I feel like I need to do that? No. Is there anything exciting going on with Apple that that encourages me to go buy one? No. So I mean, I've got better things to do with my money, like maybe get a nice new laptop, but not sure getting an iPhone 10 is big on my priority list, and not on yours either. So we'll talk about that. The other thing I want to talk about, which I'll talk about first, is the Google about searches. So there's an article. There's an article in on the news about Google being involved with what are called about searches. And normally a search is, let's say law enforcement wants to do a search on you. They'll say, we want to find out everything we want to find out about great gold. So they go and say, okay, let's look at all the activities of great gold. An about search is about who was in this location, who was doing this on the internet at this time, who was on this app doing this at this time. And let me just tell you this. There have been many people who come into to my channel criticizing me because they say I have no proof that Google is collecting this kind of data that I say it's collecting. And therefore they feel like my warnings are conspiracy theories, that you don't really have anything to fear. Well, clearly, if you look at the warrants, and it's very clear that They gotcha. Okay, so let me just give you a couple of examples of the warrants here, and this is just a couple of the examples, but it just kind of tells you what they can do. And so, if you have any doubt about what I'm saying, and one of the reasons I use a de-Googled phone is because I don't want that. One of the things that they said here, and this is from I'm looking at Bruce Schneier's website here right now, Schneier on security, and he's talking about Google response to warrants for about searches. So one of the first things that was discussed here is a Homeland Security agent, Silvante Reynoso, testified that her team began by asking Google to produce a list of public IP addresses used to Google the home of the victim in the run-up to the arson. So basically, there was an arson to a certain location. And what they did then is they said, oh, let's find out who was on the internet searching for this house or this location as close as possible to the event. So they actually went in there and found people, and then they found this person named Williams who was found to be on Verizon, and that identified this person as being the suspect. So remember what I was telling you about? You know, how we use VPNs and all that? I mean, basically, can you imagine just, let's say that this person is your neighbor and you happen to be just randomly searching that house and something happened to the house, you know, soon after for no fault of yours, and then suddenly you're implicated. You see what I'm talking about here? Some of you may not get this, but that would bother me a lot. That would bother me because, you know, what... you know, when you're doing something innocent, like looking at a website, and somebody's actually tracking you and assuming certain events, hello, UHD Byte, and it starts to make assumptions about what your purpose is on the internet during those moments. So it's almost like hunting for evidence. What is the term for that? Yeah, you almost have looking for something to pin to you. You know, you haven't done anything, they don't know anything, but they're going to make the assumption that, hey, just your presence in a certain area is enough to actually dictate that they're going to do something. In this case, this person was caught searching for this house in an arson, and, you know, he obviously committed it, and he was arrested and charged. But it bothered me about other people who could have been on there who would not have been part of this, and that they would have been put into the same pile. For the same reason that if somebody went, you know, a year ago or months ago and said, okay, I want to know who was at this protest, you know, one of these Floyd protest riots here in LA, let's say, you know, in Santa Monica on this date at this exact time. So in theory, then they can go, you know, subpoena or give a warrant to Apple to say, we want all the people at these locations. And of course, anybody with a phone, because, you know, some of you think that you're going to be safe with your Apple iPhone. And, you know, some of these bad guys are carrying their iPhones, and there you go. They're spotted, and now they're part of this list of protesters, and they're going to be labeled as rioters who broke in and stole stuff. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. The problem is now you're being classified by this data. You're allowed to take a sick day. No, it's I'm not sick at all. I just allergy. So that is, you know, when I say, you know, I don't want a phone with contact tracing, because I don't want to get involved with that. I don't want to. It's not just about contact tracing for the specific infection, but contact tracing can be used for any purpose, any. So somebody could say, well, we're not really looking for COVID. We're looking for whoever was at this location, and we have contact tracing data that proves that you were near this person. Okay? And you like that? That's okay with you? Are you okay if your phone turned off? Do you really turn off your phone? I mean, are you serious? Hairstyle, dude, my allergies are killing me always in the fall. Yeah, but you don't have to swear, man. Not necessary to swear, because then I have to go filter it. So that is really, really bothersome about the kind of data collection that is being done, and some of you are willing to participate in that because you claim you have nothing to hide. Okay, you have nothing to hide, and suddenly you're part of something that you weren't really part of. So you weren't really participating in the riots in Santa Monica when it started. You happened to be there because you have a client that's one of those businesses over there, and you happen to be the area, and you're caught in there with your phone, and now they marked you as one of the rioters. That doesn't bother you? It bothers me. Bothers me. That's like, the thing about this kind of data is like, there's no innocent till proven guilty. It's data's there, you're there. So this other case here, which is kind of similar to what I'm talking about. So somebody actually was arrested for, let me see what the crime is here. Murder. This is a murder thing, okay? And they actually arrested this guy named Molina. Again, this is from Schneier, Bruce Schneier's site, Schneier and Security. And they arrested this guy Molina, and the data showed that he was in two locations at the same time. So the attorney then said, wait a minute. You're arresting this guy named Molina, for doing this, but the location data is showing that he's in two places at the same time, which is impossible. Because again, nobody actually checks, that these are real. It just assume, hey, your phone was here and your location was there, therefore you're part of this event, in this case a murder. And it turns out that his stepfather was driving his car once in a while, and also logged into his Google account, and the location data was mixed in between those two people, okay, because the device was logged in and never logged out. So, but the location was there and the location was tracked. And some people actually come to me and say, what is your proof that there's this Wi-Fi triangulation thing? Why do you say there's Wi-Fi triangulation? One of the things I keep telling you is that a phone is actually capable of tracking you 24/7, even without permission, especially only by Apple and Google. And they have the mechanism to do that because, short explanation here, because this is always difficult to explain, because there are two types of location events on a phone. Event number one is called Wi-Fi triangulation, and this requires permissions. You have to actually give each app independent permissions for Wi-Fi triangulation. And how that works is when you want to say, I want to know my location, it goes to the browser. The browser then asks Google for the location through an API from Google. Google or Apple will then look at the Wi-Fi routers near you, and then get that and report. That's passed into the geolocation API, which is, I found that in my area there's this router and this router, and with this MAC address and this signal strength. And just from signal strength and at least 2 Wi-Fi's, they can triangulate you within 6 feet. That's how that works, okay? Now, plus or minus, because, you could have walls and things that could be impacting on the signal. But in general, you can be pinpointed within 6 feet. So that part is actually permission. So when you see somebody talking about Android and iOS, and they're saying, you don't have to worry about location because locations are permission, and on a Android, that's heavily controlled by something called SE Linux. So the SE Linux security policy says only those with permissions get to access locations. Okay, but there's a second part to location that has nothing to do with Wi-Fi triangulation. And this is the part that actually is available only to Apple and Google. And what this is that they collect the MAC addresses of the Wi-Fi's near you to build the Wi-Fi triangulation database. This is the part that builds the database. And how that works is they take a phone, the phones only, because they need the GPS. They take your current GPS location, then find the Wi-Fi's around you, and then they send that data to Google. They send that data to Apple. That then becomes the basis of the database, the combination of GPS, signal strength of all the Wi-Fi's in the area. And then they mangle that up in a computer, and they say, okay, based on that signal strength ratio, we have determined the exact location of those routers, which means they also know the exact location. Well, they have your GPS position. So they already have that. They got your exact GPS position, which, by the way, nowadays are pretty accurate. GPS only works outdoors, by the way. So when you're outdoors, it spots you. Now, the problem with this is that this process is sent to Google with your Google ID. So therefore, they know who was sending the data for the Wi-Fi addresses. And this is not considered to be your personal data because it's not part of Wi-Fi triangulation. It's just part of what Google does and Apple does to maintain its database of Wi-Fi routers. So if you listen to this, it sounds almost benign. The problem is they have your Google ID, they have your Apple ID, they have your GPS position. So you're telling me they're not going to store this data. So you say, oh, they're so honest. They're not. They have access to your location, to every location of every phone in existence, because this does not require permissions. They have the location of every phone in existence that is using Apple and Google. And you're saying, oh, no, they're not going to collect that. They're not going to collect that information. Cell phone GPS is very, very accurate now. In fact, they got it down to inches on the newer versions. The problem, of course, is it doesn't work indoors. So indoors, they have to shift to Wi-Fi triangulation. So if you actually think about what I'm saying here and you say they're not collecting your location, they can play with words. They can say, oh, we're not actually collecting your information because we don't associate with you. Right. They have your Google ID. They got your GPS. They got the Wi-Fi's around you to populate the database, which was broken into by Rami Shankar, the hacker. Okay. He actually broke into that database. It was on DEF CON. So, and people say, well, you're lying. We don't really have any evidence of location being used or tracked by Google in this manner. And it's like, are you serious? That's why they get warrants, because they know that Apple and Google always know where your phones are and always knows it 24/7. They know where your phones are. Now, one of the interesting things is, and this is not a Google phone. This is a de-Googled phone. Okay, you know me talking about this all the time. So this is a Pixel 3, and it's de-Googled. And I have never logged into this phone. So even if it did this collection of MAC addresses and GPS positions, I've never logged in. So there's no identity associated with it at all. So even if somebody started collecting the same data as Google and Apple on locations for MAC addresses of routers, this doesn't give an identity because I've never logged in and will never log in because it doesn't have a login. It doesn't exist. When you use this phone, there is never a login. Okay, so you can download your apps and do whatever you do, but there's no login. That alone should tell you, ooh, that's nice. That's pretty neat. That's, I mean, common sense. If you don't log in, you've just saved yourself a lot of information that they don't have. Well, the other thing is that code that I'm telling you that does the Wi-Fi triangulation collection, meaning the collection of database of routers around you with your GPS positions, it's not on here. It's not. Okay. The reason is Google is not going to put this kind of code that is proprietary to Google. They're not going to share with anyone. So it's not in the Android open source, which is the only thing on here is Android open source. It's not on here. So this phone cannot have that feature. So if somebody said, I need to find out all phones that were at this specific location at this specific time, they can't do it to this phone. Okay? And that alone should just, ring a bell in your head and say, darn, I like that. Well, I love it. This does not have that information. Now, some of you are saying, oh, that's Android. Who cares? Let's talk about ducking Apple 12. Okay? So, wow, we want to see Apple 12 because fancier phone. No Pixel phones in my store. Yes, I don't have any Pixel phones in my store. And I don't stock Pixels very often. They're kind of a pain to stock. Okay, I got a bunch of Pixels that I can't even do yet. And they have some things I got to do to them. So anyway, going back to Apple. So Apple is doing the same thing as Google. So if some of you are dreaming that iPhone is privacy, therefore iPhone doesn't do any of this shit, shit, ZHIT. They're not doing any of this. So you say Apple, Apple says Apple is privacy. So they, or privacy is iPhone or whatever the stupid marketing gimmick is. And so, yeah, I like this iPhone 12. I'm looking at the latest gadget and it's no longer curved. We're back to iPhone 5. It looks like a bigger iPhone 5. So iPhone 5 is fancier. So yeah, I mean, it's like an iPhone 5. I like that, flat edge there. It's like, yeah, they rotate. You get tired of the curve. iPhone 1 was curved. iPhone 5 was flat. iPhone 10 was curved. iPhone 12 is flat. It's like, okay. Now, what exactly is your iPhone going to do for you? It is going to spy on you just like what I just said about Google. It will do exactly the same thing. It's going to spy on you 24 hours. The difference is there's no way you can take an iPhone and stop it from flagging you because you log into an Apple. Some of you, one person said, on Brax Me, said, well, I haven't logged into my Apple, or I reset it and I haven't logged in anymore to my Apple, to my iPhone. And I was saying to myself, you haven't logged into your iPhone, and you can't use anything because there's no apps. Okay, this has apps. It's functioning like a normal Android. It has apps on it, and I can do most things on it. Not all, but 90% of the things I want to do on a phone, I can do. And if I can, I'll use the browser. Okay. So the thing is, you get an iPhone and there's nothing I can tell you to make an iPhone safer. I know of no way to stop the fact that you logged in, for most of us, that you logged into your iPhone. Otherwise you can't pull your apps. You can't do anything. Okay, you log in to your iPhone. You can't download apps otherwise of any sort unless you log in. There's no way to load any app on it. There's no way to sideload an app. You know, these are not things that are possible on Apple, which makes it even worse. You are forced to log in to your iPhone. And because of that, guys, you really want to get zucked? What are you going to do with an iPhone 12? What are you going to do with an iPhone 12? I don't even use my iPhone. My iPhone is, doesn't move. Do you know what I use my iPhone for? It's a Google Voice with no SIM card. I just leave it there. It's basically my Google authentication phone. So if I need to authenticate, it goes to Google Voice, then I authenticate it on the phone. That's what it's used for, just next to my computer. Otherwise, it's pretty much useless. I don't use it for anything else. And I don't want to, because I just told you that phone knows my location 24/7 with my Apple ID. Why would I zucking want to do that? Plus contact tracing, which fortunately is not going to happen because I have not updated the phone to 3. What was the last version I put on it? 3.13, I believe. It wasn't, or I don't forget the numbering scheme. 10 point, whatever it is. 13 point whatever. 13.3. See, I forget the numbering now. So yeah. So I know that phone. The other thing is, some of you come to me and say, well, how do you know your iPhone's spying on you with your location and everything? And the phone tells me you are 5 minutes from your destination. Your car is 100 feet away, and it's like, how do you know your phone is spying on you? It's like, Zuck. I mean, the phone is already pretty much blurting out, hey, I'm spying on you. And you're like saying, how do you know? I don't trust you. You're just a tinfoil hat guy. I don't trust you. So anyway, as if it's enough to have your iPhone that you can't stop spying on you. They actually build the phone that you can actually say has no real difference with a phone that I had several years ago. So I have an iPhone 10. So my iPhone 10 is now what? 2 years old? My iPhone 10? And what's the difference? Is there any actual thing that I can look at the phone and say, wow, it's 2 years ago now, and it's so special. I'm going to dump my iPhone 10 and get an iPhone 12. There's just so many new features on here. It's spying on me the same, worse, because it has contact tracing. And other than that, I mean, I can't think of anything good, because they're actually selling you a camera now. They don't even sell you phones anymore. They sell you cameras, and now they're selling you, hey guys, the reason you need to get an iPhone is because it's a better camera, A, and B, 5 zucking G. There you go, guys. You need an iPhone because of 5G. Now, you didn't watch my 5G video to know the implications of this. Forget about the, electromagnetic wave effect and all that, because that problem exists on any phone, even 3G. So yes, you're obviously excessive exposure to, electromagnetic waves of certain frequencies. We don't know exactly what the resonant frequency is for humans, but it's up there. It's in the in these phone ranges. So anyway, 5G. And true 5G is millimeter wave. So true 5G is, 20 gigahertz, 30 gigahertz, 15 gigahertz. It's in the millimeter wave category, higher than, the current 5 gigahertz. So true millimeter wave stuff is, very, very tiny wavelengths. And that's what 5G is. We're not actually there yet. we're not. I mean, fortunately, we're not there yet. So yes, so at some point we're going to be forced to. We won't have a choice, and they're going to say, "Well, you're going to have to all use 5G." But fortunately, when you have LTE still running, it's going to take many, many years before 5G. So we have maybe one phone lifetime before we have to go to 5G. So we may have 5 years here where we don't have to go to 5G. Okay? Fortunately, we may have 5 years still where we can stick to LTE. Now, let me just tell you this. When you get to millimeter waves, one of the things that I already mentioned in my video, and you can go watch it to learn what I said about 5G. 5G has something called beam forming. So it can actually, the beams actually look for you. So your phone connects to the tower and it establishes kind of a beam angle. And then in order to make this signal strong enough to reach you, the tower will now point the signal to wherever you are. Meaning, the tower will know your exact location within inches. Let me repeat that. With 5G, right now, LTE just tells you you're so far from a cell tower with so many bars. That's all it really has. It can triangulate over multiple cell towers and maybe give you an approximation of location, maybe within half a mile. Okay? Maybe half a mile. We're talking now about something that will actually pinpoint your location within inches. So they don't even need GPS. They can just say, "Oh, you're at the door of the building." We actually pinpoint. There are 5 people in the doorway, and you're one of them, and it's pointed at you directly. In order for the signal to achieve this kind of ability to reach you, even with the weakness of a 5G signal, because 5G is not very strong normally unless they power it up. But with the same amount of power, the only way that they reach you is by beam forming. And the effect of that is complete loss of privacy. Complete loss. Once we're in the beam forming stage, somebody can just go to the cell tower and say, "Where's this guy located?" And they will, they won't even need a drone to find you. They'll say, "There you are exactly." They'll know where you're seated at the restaurant. They'll know. They don't even need to fly Stingray on top. They can actually find out your exact location. And here we are saying, "Ooh, I love 5G." Russ is like saying, "Oh, like fiber. It's gonna be fast, Russ," because Russ likes fast stuff. So he's good. "I want fast internet. 5G's fast. I'm gonna want that 5G fast internet because I want to be seeing 10 live streams at once." That's what they did in the demo. You watch a football game, you get 10 live streams at once. It's like, wow, love that. It's like, suck. Do I really need that? I'll just go home and watch it on my zucking computer connected to my Wi-Fi. I don't need zucking 5G. Okay, just improve my home internet. That's good enough. Do I really need zucking 5G on a phone? So here's, again, the infrastructure for this is always built for surveillance in a big way. And you don't even, this is not the whole picture, but you're just seeing the effect of this. So am I in a rush to get 5G? No, I'm going to drag my feet because it's the only, time we're going to get some privacy. It's if we don't get to 5G. And if 5G is so active, we may have to stop using phones. I don't know. It's kind of worrisome here because we're not getting options. So I use a computer with Ethernet gigabyte internet. Yes, that's why. Am I excited to buy an iPhone 12? Why don't you get a nice new Linux computer and learn some Linux and put KVM on it with virtual machines and have some fun and learn how to, set up a Linux computer. That's a better way to spend your money and get yourself a cheaper phone. Get one of these. Get one of these, the Google phones, cheaper, fraction of the price. and spend your money on a computer, because computer is nicer anyway. It does more stuff, and you can put put in a nice display, and put an NVIDIA card on it and make it go fast and so on. Guys, you're being tricked marketing wise, and I can't even think of what the reason is to get an iPhone. Why am I getting an iPhone? What is the point? They haven't really sold me on anything new phone wise, aside from stupid 5G. The phone's the same, the software's the same. Everything that runs on the old one runs on the new one. Here's the problem: the software does not need the kind of capability of an A14 CPU. It's like, what is different from that on an A12 CPU? It gets to the point where, the applications don't necessarily need that anymore. I mean, do you need that for emailing and texting and such? You don't. So anyway, I'm going to show you in this coming video next week. I'm going to show you how you use these phones, especially the Google phone. I'm going to show you the best way to do video conferencing that is not zucking Zoom. I'm going to show you very easy to use video not using Zoom. And you can tell your friends, hey, you meet me on this, and it's going to be a lot safer than Zoom, and it's actually pretty simple. So we'll show you that in my next video on Thursday. So wait for that. And that's, and you can use your computer. You don't have to use a phone. And I'll actually set up a server. So I'm actually going to set up a server for this, so you can see how it works. Okay, and because it's my server, you can see that has some benefits. Can you de-Google my Sony phone? Depends on the model. I've never tried a Sony. Sony Xperia can be de-Googled. I don't want to buy one because of the expense, but it may be doable, yes. What podcast app do you recommend? I don't do podcast apps, but they work. Sony is trash. Are you sponsored by these third parties? Which tells me now to remind you that my sponsor is Linode. That is my sponsor. Okay, let me tell you about Linode. Linode's been around a long time. I believe they've been around since 2003. So they're one of the earliest data centers to exist, and they existed even before Amazon. And let me just say this. I've switched to using Linode quite a bit. It doesn't hurt that they're my sponsor, but I switched to using to Linode recently. I used to use many different ISPs, many different data centers, and I also used Amazon AWS. I have a lot of servers. I had a lot of servers. Okay, and so I was able to transfer quite a few servers over to Linode. And I'm going to tell you something. The more I used Linode, the more I realized how much money I was saving. It's like, see, there's no fine print. Some of the things that were limitations on the other servers is not a limitation on Linode. One of the things that typically will be limiting on, let's say, Amazon AWS is when you put a server in and shoot. Hold on a second here. My battery died. Hold on. The battery on the, oh my gosh. Battery on the, okay, I may have to shift to computer's monitor here. Hold on a second here. We're going to force this with a computer. Hold on a second here. Sorry about that, but I knew that could happen, but I didn't really plan on it. So hold on. We're going to change screens to screen camera here, which is still not show me anything. Hold on a second. Do I have to restart? Hold on. You can still hear me, right? Make sure you can still hear me. So, yeah, it's not showing me the screen. Let me restart this. Hold on. Let me restart. Okay, don't leave it. Okay, I don't know if this started here. Let me just hold on a second. I gotta go to the broadcast here and see if it's still running. Hold on a second. So maybe I'm live, maybe I'm not. Can't tell you for sure. So it says I'm live, so I want to just make sure I can actually see it. So, okay, are we back with a different camera? Okay, so we're using a computer camera. Whew. Okay, so sorry about that. So what happened was I left my camera on. I went to dinner. It's been running since 5 p.m. and I guess the camera's been running for 3 hours and 45 minutes. And I guess that's the end of the battery life. 3 hours and 45 minutes. So yeah, not cinematic. Yeah, somebody's complaining. Bruno is complaining. Okay, I can end the broadcast. I can end the broadcast if you don't like the lighting. This being shot in a bunker under the sea. Okay, so we can go on here. We can go on even with this problem here. So let me just verify the broadcast speed. I'm sure the resolution is very low. Okay, so this is a very, it's like using Zucking Zoom. It's like using Zucking Zoom. Anyway, oops. Keep forgetting here that we can't mess with the camera. The camera has to stay put or you lose the view. So yeah, so I gotta move. Camera can't move. What's gotta move is me. So I see what the problem is. The lighting is hitting the lens. The lighting is hitting the lens of the camera on the computer, and I actually had to take the tape off because I have a tape off on my computer. Let me just turn off the side light here. Okay, just better effect. Okay, so sorry about that, but at least the sound shouldn't be impacted. The sound will be fine. What do you think about the privacy of MacBooks? They're bad as iPhones? Actually, no. Computers in general are not, and that's a good question. And I actually thought about that. Computers in general, guys, are much safer than a phone. They don't have sensors. They're not tracking your location beyond the permissions you allow in the browser. So if you shut off permissions in the browser for location, then you're fine. They don't do the kind of tracking because they don't have the GPS, the gyro, and they don't have any of that on a computer. So you really don't have to worry about that. So a computer is 10 million times safer than a phone. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. Somebody actually, I want to make a comment about this. Somebody actually made a comment on my on my broadcast, and the comment was I was using a PC, Microsoft Windows 10, to do my demo for the video. So they said, "Oh my gosh, this privacy supposed guy is using Windows," and I, as you know, I also have Linux computers. So let me make this clear so you understand. I use them all. Because I have to do development. I have a Mac, I have Windows, and I have Linux. Okay, so you saw me do video on my Linux computer doing KVM. Now, KVM virtual machines. Now, my Linux computer was out for a while, for several months, and the reason it was out was I spilled coffee on the keyboard. The computer I have is in some of my videos. It's a Star laptop from Star Laptop Systems in the UK, and it was actually such a reasonably priced computer, still is, and they they don't charge a premium for this computer, and it's very nice for Linux computer, very powerful, and very happy with it, and the service had been provided to me so far by a company that's in the UK. The UK is far from me, so when I have a problem with my laptop, which happened a couple times now because I had to get a replacement. What did I get before? Something had to be replaced. I sent it to them. A week later, it was back. This is the turnaround, including shipping. So I sent it to them. A week later, I got it back, fixed. So I'm was really happy about that. And their service is good. So just because they're in the UK, you might think that that might affect the service, and it really hasn't. And so these guys are great. I'm not only did I save money from buying a Librem from 13 or 14 from Purism, or a System 76 from System 76. This was a much better bargain for much more power with the bargain. So anyway, I like that. The point is, I have a Linux computer. I have a Windows computer. Right now, I'm using a Windows computer here because some of my computers are made for different purposes. So for YouTube, I stick to the Windows 10 computer, and then I also have a MacBook Pro. So the question is, which ones of these are unsafe? And somebody said on my video that the privacy guy is not really believable because he's using Windows 10. And the answer is, that's not really true. Any computer can be made fairly safe if you follow some rules. Why is Windows 10 bad, and how is it spying on you? Well, that is really a choice that you make when you install Windows. So when you install Windows, one of the first things you're going to have to consider is how you identify your computer to Microsoft. And by default, they really make it hard for you. By default, they want you to log into your computer using your Microsoft ID. I'm going to tell you right now, folks, logging into your computer with your Microsoft ID is like logging into your Google Android with your Google ID, and it's the same as logging into your Apple phone with your Apple ID. My answer to that is Zuck you Microsoft. Okay? Zuck you Microsoft. Answer, all you have to do is, and they make it difficult, you got to go to a bunch of unclear clicks in there to say you want a local user. So my Windows is a local user. It is not tied to a Microsoft ID. So I don't have a Microsoft ID on any user on my computer. Because of that, it is not connected to HQ. Then you got to go into Windows 10 settings, and you actually have to disable all of the things that they have to do the telemetry. You can turn them off, and fortunately, they're not, they're pretty, because of GDPR, everyone is now they don't want the liability. They don't want to get sued. So everything on Microsoft does have a switch to turn off. You just have to learn to turn it off. So I turned off all the switches that I can. In the privacy section is one of them. So you turn that off. So when you do that, then you actually you will find that your computer is not really sending any telemetry anymore, and you know, and you can actually monitor that. I have not really found any telemetry coming out of my PC here. Maybe I need to do a more intense check, but you know, uh, there's probably more telemetry on a MacBook. Why not use the latest technology with a workaround? Why suffer for security? Well, I am not. So on a computer, there are things you can do. So this is something that you got to learn. On a computer, you can configure things because you have control over it. On a computer, you can say, I don't want Microsoft to be doing this, so you can replace the program. You know, everything is all doable. It's kind of like Linux. You go to Linux, and if you don't want it to do something, you replace the program that does that or turn it off, and you can do that directly from some command line thing. A little harder to do on Mac because they're going to hide it. So you're going to have to go search for it. They're going to hide it. So, did I lose the signal here? How come I don't see the video? Am I still visible? Can you see me? Can somebody just verify that I'm still visible? I completely lost. Okay. The screen. I'm no longer seeing myself. Okay. It just YouTube is not showing my face. Okay. Good. Okay. So anyway, so in general, you're not going to have this kind of fear. You have to fear the same things as anything else. You know, your IP address. And all things I tell you that are used to spot your identity on the computer, you're going to have to worry about that. But it doesn't have the sensors. You know, this thing is a gyro, the IMU, the internal measurement unit. It has, you know, portable cameras. It has GPS. You know, the inertial measurement unit is the motion sensor. It has kind of a lockdown operating system so that, you know, Google and Apple can really monitor what happens with the phone. This is the true, I would say this is the true chip. You're being chipped with this. You're being chipped with this. I can't take my clothes off? Suck. It's boring. So anyway, this can chip you. Well, not this because this is the Google, but my computer does not have some of that capability. So I don't really have to worry so much about a computer, other than what I usually worry about, which is, you know, your IP address, your location, which you can turn off, and browser fingerprinting. But otherwise, don't be too scared about a computer. You know me. I mean, people say that I'm a kind of a conspiracy theorist type, that I scare you, but actually you find that that's not the case. I'm not telling you anything like you can make a computer safer. You can make a computer safer. You cannot make a phone that has Google in it or Apple in it. You cannot make this safe. There's no mechanism to make this safe. The only way to make this safe is to de-Google it. That's it. There's no other option. Okay? There's no other option. De-Google it, you're safer. Don't de-Google it, then you're zucked. You might as well leave the phone at home. If you think you're going to be safe, and, you know, this spying is not important and all that, you know, live in your dream world. But I mean, you're a pawn when you use this. So if you get excited and you say, oh, I'm going to get myself an I've got to pre-order. I mean, some of you probably pre-order your iPhone 12. It's like, Zuck. Why the Zuck would you pre-order a iPhone 12? What in an iPhone 12 that is really going to help you? All it does is not help you. I'm still looking at the wrong camera here. It's funny. I'm like shifting, and this other camera has no power. Actually, it's charging now. Can you de-apple that? No, Russ. No, you cannot de-apple the iPhone. No. It's impossible to the Apple, the iPhone. That's why don't even bother. Don't even waste your time discussing that because it's not an option. So if you think you're going to buy an iPhone, if you think you're going to buy an iPhone 12, then, you know, I'm sorry. You're in the wrong channel. Maybe you shouldn't be on this channel because I can't help you. Okay? So, let's see. Unless your audience is older. iPhone 12 got the magnets. Wow, fancy! By the way, you know, a lot of cases have magnets on them. Oh, but on an iPhone, you don't need the case for the magnet. Yeah, but then you have to cover the iPhone because you're afraid to scratch the zucking expensive phone. Never going to win. Okay? So, no, we can, I'm going to, you know, find ways to get other phones to de-Google, or wait for Linux phones to actually be ready for prime time, and I might write some apps for it. And you know, and yes, it won't do the exact same things, but let's rely on a computer. Let's rely on a computer, guys. You can do gaming on a computer. I'll give you some incentive. Do gaming on a computer. You have a nice computer, you can do gaming. So that's the way to do it. Use your computer, do gaming, and it's much more fun than saying, I'm going to spend the extra money to buy these. These phones are as expensive as a computer, for goodness sakes. Okay? I paid $1,400 for my last iPhone. My gosh, I mean, that's my computer from Star Laptops, my Linux computer, was only $819, including shipping and tax. $819 including tax. So it's like, so a iPhone at, let's say you buy, you know, the standard iPhone $799 with no charger. So by the time you put a charger on there, case, yeah, buy a computer. Keep your old phone. Which phone do we buy? The Google phone, Grizzly Adams, and I sell many. I sell G7, Moto G7s, and Moto G7 Plus, and a OnePlus 6 are the ones I always have in stock. Not always, but I have a lot of stock of G7s and Moto G7s and G7 Plays, because they're reasonably priced. I mean, they're not expensive. They're practically brand new. Or new, depends on the model, and you know, it's a fraction of the price of a new phone, and you know, even if you only used it for a couple of years, it's worth it. Plus the fact that you know, you saved on your privacy for 2-3 years. Is it safe? No, I have no idea. There's no such thing as good email to use. Yeah, so use go to my store, and you can pick one of these Google phones. So this one is more rare for me. It's an iPhone 3. I mean iPhone, sorry. Pixel 3. This is a Pixel 3. And you can buy your own Pixel 3. I'll put Google on it. I mean, I'll de-Google it for you. Just make sure you can unlock it. And make sure you can return it if you can't unlock it. Okay? It's very hard to find these. So if you, for me, you can buy them. So if you want to do that, just go get yourself a Pixel 3. I'll tell you the steps to unlock it, to OEM unlock. And then if you can verify it's OEM unlockable, you can send it to me. Then I can do them. If not, then we're just going to waste time because I'm gonna have to ship it back. Okay? Because what happens is the only Pixels that work are the ones that came from Google Store. The ones that came from T-Mobile, Verizon, all that. Anything that's carrier locked, they lock it. It doesn't work. They lock it. So if you want a Pixel 3, you got to get one that's not locked. Now, this is not true of all the other brands, but those brands said, oh, we're going to sell you a Pixel phone, but we're going to lock it. So never, ever buy from the zucking carrier. Never, ever buy from the carrier. They're going to zuck you. buy directly from the source. So in this case, if it's a Google phone and you want a Pixel 5, Pixel 5s cannot yet be de-Googled, but they will be in a year. Year later, you can do them. So if you want to hold on to it for a year, better yet, don't buy a new one, buy a used one. Okay? So Google Pixel 3 is the better model than the Pixel 3a. The Pixel 3a is not as good as the Pixel 3, and they're almost the same price used, but this was a $700 phone when brand new. Okay? So this is a better phone. You can buy these now for, you know, two something, 250 to 270. So yeah, so gonna be a and then I add 120 to the Google it, and even then you're not gonna be near 700 for a new phone. Okay, I know the real elite and blah blah blah. Today's gen's getting away from a PC's gen willing to spend 1,000 on a spy chip. You know what? Look at Linus Tech Tips. He likes computers. So there are people who like him. Maybe you should all watch Linus Tech Tips so that you get excited about a computer again. Because computers, to be honest, are safer. You need a VPN and all that, but a computer is safer. You can even use, this computer I'm using here is a Spectre X360, which is actually convertible, so it can go tablet. If you want a tablet, flip it around, it's a tablet. So, it's fine. You don't need no zucking iOS or Android on your home. When you're not on the road, just use this for minimal stuff. Rely on your computer. Carry a laptop with you. Change your habits, guys. That's what I'm saying. Change your habits. Any phones with Ubuntu besides no longer supported Nexus 5. Nexus 5 is supported, but it's difficult to make it work. Somebody just verify with me that their Ubuntu Touch still works. But we're gonna have to really rely on the Pine phone here. Some people have some, luck with a OnePlus 3 and a OnePlus 3T. So with Ubuntu Touch, but I haven't tried it. The elite have a county where they ban cell phone towers and cell phones because they know they are in danger. I love my PC with Linux or BSD. Zuck the phones. There you go, Josmo. That's not a bad idea. I carry my Surface with me. So somebody sent me a Surface. I don't know what I was. I guess he wanted me to de-Microsoft it, and I was like, there's nothing I can do to a Surface. What can I do to a Surface? So I don't know. I don't know why he sent me a Surface. On a Surface, the only thing you can do is maybe load a virtual machine and then run Linux on it on a virtual machine. But yeah, I can't do anything to a Surface. Poco phone is possible to de-Google. Poco phone, I believe, already can run Linux, right? So why would you need to de-Google? Even Windows 10 needs to be de-Microsoft. I already told you how to do that. Just take off your Microsoft ID, go into privacy settings, and turn everything off related to that. And then you'll find that your Microsoft is, your Windows 10 computer is not much different. Okay. I mean, I prefer to use Linux, obviously, but, we can't always do that. One of the reasons I can't use Linux is because I can't do the videos on Linux. When I do my videos, I got to use Adobe Premiere Pro, and that only runs on Windows. And there's a couple other apps that I need to run only on Windows. So, you got to deal with what you got to deal with. We don't need to be stuck up either. I'm actually... I'm not, as intense of a Linux desktop guy. I'm very intense with Linux servers. I have a lot of Linux servers. I can't even count. I have a lot of Linux servers. how many do I have? I mean, my bill is pretty high. So I moved over to Linode. Linode's going to cut my bill down, but boy, I'm paying a good chunk of money to Amazon every month. So yeah, so Windows XP is still the fastest, best OS. Well, running what? If you're running a 10th gen Intel with Windows XP, what browser are you using? It'll probably hack you. I actually have a keyboard. I have, I'm talking about piano keyboards. I have a organ B3 organ emulator so it's a B3 organ that emulates the B3 organs of the of the 60s, and except it's not running a real B3 internal because it's portable. What's inside it is Windows XP. Running Windows XP, so it boots Windows XP, and since it's running by itself, then it doesn't connect to anything. There's no internet. It doesn't have to do anything. It just has to boot. The only reason I'm here is because of Joe Rogan. Then why are you here? If Joe Rogan is not here right now, then you don't have to be here. Although Joe Rogan will probably watch my stuff. Can LG phones be de-Googled? A Nexus 5 is a LG. So some LGs can be de-Googled, but there's very, very specific models. Like, I think there's a V20, and then it's a submodel. It's got to be a US. It can't be a carrier model. So you see, that's the problem, is you got to know exactly what to buy. You have to buy a model that's made for, not made for a carrier, so you can unlock it. Otherwise, the carriers want to buy it locked. Buy a 1200 Bolshevik remover and a $200 phone, whatever that means. Does this setting up your new computer say cover whether or not we should use scripts to the Microsoft Windows 10? Tell me what those scripts are. I have not been using any scripts. I just go in there and change the settings manually. But with my limited use here, it's not. I don't really worry about it. The difference between Joe Rogan and Rob is you can watch Rob's live stream. Kim.com wanted to have the whole internet encrypted. There is already a encrypted version of the internet. It's called I2P. And, this is really an issue, because I go to I2P, and I have I2P installed on this computer even. And I'm trying to think of a way to use it. It doesn't really have a lot of things available to it as far as applications and things. I mean, you can run websites, but there's a lot of limitations with, what kind of traffic you can send through I2P. So I2P may be good for maybe some email, because email, can identify you location-wise. But I2P is its own network. I mean, you're inside something else. You're not on the internet. When you go on I2P, you're just in I2P. So it's like an internet within the internet, but it's not like Tor. You know how on Tor you go to Tor and then you exit Tor to go to the internet. Well, I2P is like going on Tor and staying on Tor. That's what I2P is. Not IP2, I2P. Okay? I have it loaded on here. It's on my computer here. In fact, let me just check here and check the settings. If I have, there's my I2P router. Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, I2P is loaded on here. And, one of the ways you can use I2P is you can use XMPP inside I2P. and then you can have, encryption within encryption. But for normal people, I don't know why they would want to go into I2P. Dude, I'm not like to play in the stupid hackers movie. Please answer Rob. Okay, Madashi had a question. Don't be demanding though, okay? I mean, I'll get to it when I get to it, but what's your question again? Let me scan up here. Now I gotta go find what Madashi said. Maybe you should just retype it. So, hold on. Was it even important what you said? Goodness, now I gotta go find something that I can't even... I have an important question. Do I have to hard reset my Android phone if I logged in Google for one time? Madashi, there's nothing you can do to an Android phone. Nothing. What do you think you're going to do with your Android phone? So, if you hard reset it, what changes? You're still being spied on. You're not going to stop the spying. Even if you use another identity, they're still spying on that identity. That is not the same as having a Google phone. A Google phone does not talk to Google. There's nothing here. This does not talk to Google. This doesn't talk to Google. So you're saying, oh, I got an Android. If I reset it, now Android doesn't know who I am. Okay, then you want to use the phone. Then you have to put a fake Gmail on there, and then they'll start associating that with you based on location. And they say, oh, it's the same guy that was located over here because you were still on Google. Google can still track your location and can now say, oh, Madashi 1 and Madashi 2 are both in the same exact location, so it must be the same account. And then they go do that in the database, and they do the link up and says, okay, this phone has the same IMEI, the same IMSI, therefore it's the same ducking phone. So it doesn't matter what you're going to hide. I don't care what name you put on the phone, they can match it. On a Google phone, that does not exist. Understand what I just said there, guys. A Google phone has no Google. It's not checking on anything. This does not have any connection to Google whatsoever. The only time it'll connect to Google is on these special apps that I installed using the Aurora Store, which used a fake ID. And then instead of going directly to Google, it goes into micro G to spoof the request. So even that is spoofed, so it doesn't actually know who I am on the phone. So you can't do anything to an Android phone. You really have to go de-Google. There's no actual solution. Just like saying you can't change the colors. You can't remove the spots on the Apple. It's like a tiger, a leopard. You can't remove the spots. It is what it is. Okay? So the iPhone is an iPhone. There's nothing you can do to make it a non-iPhone. It's not going to work. It does if you log in Google sites and then you're back on track again. Yeah, because you're running Google apps. But like I said, they don't even need that because remember, Google actually has access to the IMEI of the phone. So it has the ID, serial number of the phone. So it just has to match that and says, oh, we've seen that IMEI before. And it was at this location. Oh, you're in the same location. Same account. Transfer record. It's something that, Facebook does all the time. Okay? Okay, so again, I apologize for the bad video because my camera ran out of battery. Do you use Google on the Linux phone? Do you use Google on the Linux phone? This is not a Linux phone. This is a Google phone. I don't use Google on except on a browser. You can use a browser on a Linux phone, but that doesn't give them enough information. You can use a browser on a Linux phone, which I do. So you can watch YouTube. So you have a web app. Rich people don't need to be back during... everyone quit yelling at Madashi, please. No, you cannot change the IMEI. You may be able to change the IMEI, but I think it's a 25-year federal offense. So you can be in jail for 25 years like Kevin. Well, Kevin Mitnick was only in jail for 5. But he was charged with, doing that, changing IMEIs. And apparently that's a big federal crime. So don't change your ducking IMEI. I'm not going to go mess with that. Your camera does not look as good today. Psychic Medium, I'm not on a camera, I'm on a computer. My camera ran out of battery. So if you want to see the first half an hour, it's on the normal camera. This is using the computer camera. So yes, if you want to change IMEI, you can. I believe you could probably, if you have an insider in the phone manufacturer, they can change IMEI. The IMEI is in the flash of the phone, so there's probably some keystroke combination, and then you can actually do it. You'll, like I said, you're gonna go jail for that. So I don't tell them. I'll watch your channel since a few weeks. Good job, you do an important one. Thank you, Lex. Thank you very much. By the way, before I leave here, and sorry for disrupting you with bad video, but in fact, it's not even, I just realized the video wasn't even centered. But I can't believe the fact that I suddenly got 40,000 subscribers. I mean, it's like, what the heck happened? 40,000, well, almost 41 now. It'll probably be 41 by tonight. So it's like 41,000 subscribers. I mean, what happened? Sorry, I guess I can't center right now. 41,000 subscribers. I used to look up to Chris Titus Tech, because he had like 50,000, and now I'm almost there. It's like, wow, what happened here? So thank you guys. Thank you for your support. This is like really, really helpful. Floppy Crocodile said, all good job. We're here for the info, not how pretty you are. Good, because you don't want to look at me. So yeah, I'm at 41 now. While I was broadcasting, it's like, geez, I mean, that's I might get to 60 before the end of the year. So, wow, it's incredible. So apologizing for the video geese, it's cool. Apologizing for the video geese. What does that mean? You spread the word, Vulcan. Thank you. Your videos were in the videos you might like playlist. It is. So you'll be 100K very soon. Hopefully sometime next year, I hope. Maybe I'll get to 100 by mid next year, I hope. Anyway, Zuckerberg never forgets your birthday. Zuckerberg forgot my birthday now because I'm not on Zuckbook. So if you're in Zuckbook, you're going to be Zuck Daily. I accidentally hit the subscribe button. And if you unsubscribe, I'm going to go to 40,999. If you didn't know, guys, I started off on Periscope with 0. I think I had 1,000 for the first year, and then shortly after I got to 30,000 on Periscope. Thank you, James Miller. I think going on Ernest Hancock's show seems to seem good exposure and more subscribers. Is anyone here from the Ernest Hancock show? Did anyone come see me from the Ernest Hancock show? Because to be honest, I have no feedback about that. I don't know if anything happened from the Ernest Hancock show. I have no indication of that. Because I think he must have two episodes on me here. One the live, and then there was a podcast, and then he wants to do another one. So anyone here know about the Ernest Hancock show? Some people are saying dry cough. I don't want to admit to watching Ernest Hancock. So anyway, I don't know how big Ernest Hancock is. I bet you'd have 10K by December of 2018. Last question. What's about ExpressVPN? Don't use ExpressVPN, Madashi. Get Bytes VPN. BYTZ VPN.com. Okay? BytesVPN.com, which is the sponsor of this channel. This channel is sponsored by Bytes VPN, which, in case you didn't know, is just me. I am Bytes VPN. Mike, the camera, I wonder if it'll turn on now, but it's the end of the broadcast. But my camera ran out of battery, so I had to switch phones. So let's see if it lasts. Just testing. It's not coming out, is it? But it seemed like it was working, but I guess, okay, it didn't come out. Okay, I tried it. I can see the camera, but it gave a blank screen. So I can't give you a nice camera right now. Sorry about that. Yes, I use Tor. Yeah, and I even have Tor is built into my VPN. So if you want to use Tor, you can use the VPN with Tor. Okay, so use Bytes VPN. That's the one you have to use. What if Braxman is a honeypot? Well, if I'm a honeypot, I'll be the worst one because I'm here not shilling. I'm always telling you how I would be the worst honeypot. So that would be if somebody's using me as a honeypot, they're losing out because I'm giving you too much information that shows how bad they are. How can I block somebody on LinkedIn without them knowing that I visited their profile? This is why I don't go to LinkedIn. LinkedIn is like, LinkedIn is basically another spy device. I believe if you block them though, and I haven't used LinkedIn because I'm not a LinkedIn now. I think I have an inactive LinkedIn that is not even doing anything. I don't even know if I have the login to it. Just asking for those in charge of security to man up and fix this before they got to your friend McAfee. Yeah, they did, didn't they? So you're selling to a specific audience. It's obviously, although McAfee is a great source of information for disinformation, all that. I mean, you can really learn from McAfee. But, of course, I don't do what McAfee does. I pay my taxes. So, he's kind of went in a way that is kind of risky, and I don't do that. So, So he definitely his ideas and so on match a lot of what I talk about, but I'm not prepared to do what he does, which is not pay my taxes. IRS loves me. I pay my taxes. In fact, I just finished my taxes, and I don't owe anything. So no extra money has to be spent. But I filed my taxes. Off topic, what's your thoughts? Pure OS for computer. Well, Pure OS, as you know, is just Debian. So I like Debian. So just for that reason alone, Pure OS should be fine. I'm not big on being really super picky on desktop distros. It's more important that it works. So I use Ubuntu because I like it more standardized. So I'm not like some of those other some of the other Linux channels where they're constantly talking about some distro they like and how they this week it's Manjaro and next week it's this and that. For me, I'm more of a Linux server guy. So I'm setting up Linux servers, you know, sometimes daily. I mean, I set up a lot of servers, and many of the things that I do in many servers, and I run my app Me, which is run on many servers alone. That alone is it takes up a lot of Linux servers. They're all running Linux. So if somebody were to compare their expertise to me, I am not as expert on the I am not actually an expert on desktop Linux like distro2, Chris Titus and those guys. They deal with that more every day. I am more of an expert on the server. Okay, I do server things. So, and nowadays I put my servers on Linode, which gives you a $100 60-day credit. So if you set up a Linode, practice. I'm going to have a video next week about setting up a video conference service, and you can set up on your Linode for cheap, and it will be easy because they did all the work for you. Okay. I don't do that. I spend the time to actually set up my individual Linodes, my Linux servers the way I want. So mine is more customized. And I thought I had privacy. No, it means ignorance not to. Sorry, I missed all these comments from Madash here. Yes, if you're here, you must be smart. What are the safest desktops in the market? Obviously, you're going to be safer with a Linux desktop. But you can always dual boot. Make have several hard drives, and we sometimes don't have a choice. We need to use Linux. We need to use Windows. Not everything can be done on Linux, so you don't really. It's not all fixed. Is cryptocurrency the future? They're trying to make sure it's not. They're trying to make sure it's not. Let's say you have a different smartphone and you're in a different location than a crime location. That fact does not protect you. Okay. Oh, so Linus Torvalds is our Finnish hero when it comes to privacy. Why is he a hero when it comes to privacy? Torvalds is just doing, Linux things. I wouldn't call him a privacy guy. I don't know what is Torvalds doing that is particularly privacy oriented. He wants to just use Linux. Why do we steal ads when I'm on Bytes VPN? Bytes VPN does not stop ads the way you think. Bytes VPN uses Pi-hole, which by the way is cached. So if you switch to VPN non-VPN, you may have a cached DNS. The way Pi-hole works, guys, is Pi-hole will block known ad trackers and ad tracking websites at the DNS side. Okay, so if it knows that, then the tracker domain doesn't get installed, the tracker doesn't get loaded, and the tracker app doesn't run. Now, some ads are controlled by the platform, not by a different domain. So, for example, if Google is serving you an ad, obviously Pi-hole is not going to block google.com because everything is going to be blocked. So they only block domains that are specific to ads. They can, for example, block ads dot, something. But they're not going to block the entire domain. That's why it's not 100%, but it's enough to stop the trackers. So if you're thinking that it's going to stop 100% of the ads, no, and that's not really the goal. The goal is to stop the trackers that actually are doing the browser fingerprinting, and that can only happen in those domains, and they do get blocked by Pi-hole. So Pi-hole is included with Bytes VPN. Okay, so we're out of time. So how about firewall every Google IP? Well, why use Google? You could do that, but you know, I'm not sure what your point is, because you're on YouTube right now. Also, this doesn't install anything without your permission. Are you referring to me? Okay, I'm not sure what you guys are talking to. Man in the browser is still a threat. Man in the browser? Man in the middle? What do you mean man in the browser? Man in the middle, MITM, that's actually, I don't know what Haskell is, so don't ask me that. Another new term, you know, I sit here and, you know, somebody will drop some new thing that I haven't heard of. Can we have our own server at home? It's the problem is if you put your server at home, you're going to get hacked even more. It's better to put a server at a protected data center than your home, and you know they can be run inexpensively now. So what I would keep at home is you know, if you want to run Nextcloud for your photos and photo and contact sync, you can do that on the Nextcloud in your home. Otherwise, you don't want to expose your server at home to the internet, because you're going to have to open a port, and that's dangerous. Okay? So anyway, guys, sorry about the video again. I know now not to leave the camera on and leave it while I go to dinner, because it doesn't work. So I will stop doing that. So next time we won't have this camera problem. Thank you. Will phones work with 4G? Of course. They're new phones. So obviously they work with LTE. Form of internet threat related to man in the middle is a proxy Trojan horse that infects a browser by taking advantage of vulnerabilities in browser security to modify web. That's such a general term, you know. There's many ways to do that already without even giving it that name. Okay, if you don't believe me, just install Avast, you know, the antivirus. Then you tell me what happens. And then you tell me what you call that. Is that a man in the browser? Because in theory, it is. But I've never heard of such a term. Okay, so thank you guys. Where to store photos safely? Best is your own Nextcloud or a local drive, Nextcloud. If you want to put on the cloud, Nextcloud. If you otherwise store it in your local drive. Don't leave it on iCloud or any of that. I recommend Nextcloud for photos. Nextcloud. You can set up your Nextcloud on Linode, and they'll give you $100 credit for 60 days. So you can use that. Okay, Nextcloud. You can watch my Nextcloud video. Okay, thank you guys. Thank you for watching, and sorry again for the camera issue, and we won't be repeating that anymore. Thanks a lot. Good night. Can't even shut this down.